नमस्कार आणि येवकार तुमकां आयच्या खाशेल्या कार्यावळीत. आयज आमी अशा एका फेस्टिवला बद्दल उलयता जे 2 दशकांनी परत रिवायव जाता. 15 ते 19 नोव्हेंबर कांपाल जावपी हे फेस्टिवल, हाचें नांव म्हळ्यार गोवा हेरिटेज फेस्टिवल. आतां बऱ्याचशा जाणांनी जे एक्सपिरियन्स केला, ऐकला जाल्यार तांकां ह्या फेस्टिवलाची वेगळी वळख करून दिवपाक नाका. बट बिकॉज 2 दशकांनी जाता त्या खातीर मातशें खंय तरी परत रिइंट्रोड्यूस करपाची मातशी म्हाका गरज दिसली. आनी त्या खातीरूच आयज आमच्या स्टुडियोन आसा हाजे कोर मेंबर्स ते आयज तीनूच आयल्या. बट ओवर दीस कोर्स ऑफ टायम ह्या फेस्टिवलाच्या प्री पब्लिसिटीन म्हणा किंवा ड्युरींग द फेस्टिवल आमी बाकीच्या मेंबरांक मेळटले. हांव सुरवात करता. वायस चेअरपर्सन गोवा हेरिटेज एक्शन ग्रुपाची हेता पंडित आयज आमच्या स्टुडियोन आसा. तशेंच आमकां जॉयन जाता प्रिथा सरदेसाय जी आसा एक्झिक्युटीव कमिटी मेंबर गोवा हेरिटेज एक्शन ग्रुप, आणि तशेंच वन ऑफ द न्यूएस्ट मेंबर ते म्हळ्यार कार्लोस डिसूजा जे लायफ मेंबर आसा एट गोवा हेरिटेज एक्शन ग्रुप. नाव ladies and gentlemen, okay, it is really exciting to even start the program. I know you've been in the process for the last couple of months. You're almost on the verge of opening this festival, inaugurating this festival. How does it feel, ma'am? If you can start with your reaction first.
In one word, absolutely exhilarating. Very excited about it, because I realized over the years that when people said the word heritage, immediately they conjured up an image of a building, whether a monumental building or an ancient building or prehistoric work or a house, domestic architecture. So I thought it was time to take this forward and tell people with the Goa Heritage Festival that heritage is not just buildings. It's a lot more.
Okay, before I shift my focus to other panelists, I want to ask you one simple thing is, you have grown up over this 20 years. I have grown up, my hair has gone white, we have been quite changed. I believe heritage also has evolved. I wouldn't say changed, but has evolved. How do you see Goan heritage and especially Goa Heritage Action Group, doing this? Because past 20 years, people have been missing this festival, and this is one festival I believe is, people would, vouch for.
True, it stayed in public memory for a very long time. Not just the Goa Heritage Festival, but also the Fontainhas Festival of the Arts, the Goa Folk Utsav. So all these festivals have stayed in people's minds. That's a huge compliment for us. Every time we went somewhere, they would ask, when are you having the festival next? But it cannot stop with festivals. Awareness on Goan heritage, love for Goan heritage, and the quest to preserve Goan heritage, conserve it, keep it in public memory, keep it alive, is an everyday, day-to-day work for us.
My next guest is I've seen her hosting the show, and she's way comfortable. Today is my guest here on the other side. When you're looking after, there are n number of aspects to this festival. One aspect happens to be dances, and more importantly folk dances. आता म्हाका आवर्जून ऐकपाक जाय तुमच्या कडच्यान, because what is it something different with respect to dances? Because we see a lot of heritage festivals otherwise also. What is your role, and how do you how are you working with respect to this folk dances being performed here at the festival?
So yeah, we are all excited now, because just as Heta mentioned, what was assumed to be just buildings, and now we know is much more. So it's like saying the tangible heritage and the intangible heritage. So intangible is all that we can't really go and feel with our hands, physical matter. But it includes just every aspect of life that has been experienced over, the past centuries and the past millennium, and which is so integral to our own identity. Because we tend to know Goa more through either the recent history, which is like Portuguese history of Goa, which dates back to just about 500 years. But there's something much, much more. So it's the people of Goa who, who have lived on this land for more than 2,000 years, which makes up this intangible heritage of ours. So the segment that I am handling for this festival is the folk performances. And, it is so a matter of pride to see the kind of the kind of things which are going to come on stage, it has been a great learning for myself as well, because we've been very fortunate to be guided by Dr. Pandit Sardessai, who has worked for decades. He's been working on this, this aspect of Goan heritage, like amazing rapport with the people, with their tradition, because he comes from this beautiful village called Poingini in Konkani. So he has been connected with nature, with all the customs and things like that. And then his professional life is, he by being the member secretary of Kala Academy, he connected with all these people across the state and actually brought them out on stage. Had these shows on the Kala Academy stage, these competitions, which again garnered up the youth within these communities to put up their best. And he actually took them across not just the Goa state into the rest of the country, but on other parts of the world. So I think for a long time, since we've not had a heritage festival, I don't think they've come into the public eye. And this is what we want to do, because our own people, the music, the instruments, so rooted into our culture, this is what's going to come. And that's very exciting. And that's why, I would invite all of you to be a part of this.
Also,
festival,
moving forward is, it is not just the performances that you intend to. As you mentioned, all this, curators or resource persons that are working with the community who perform this on an extensive basis as their culture, as their part of heritage. How is it so special in terms of working with these communities and getting them to Panaji for this, the fest?
It's like just to say that some of them live even where phone calls don't reach. So it took me about a week to connect with one group, because I would try calling them at different times of the day, thinking that, if this phone doesn't reach him at this time, probably he's out of that zone and comes into a more connectivity zone at some time. But I didn't get him for a week, and I was really disappointed. But then, we were lucky. The phone got connected just about 3 days ago.
Okay.
So his group is going to come from the depths of, a forest land called Khotigao. You all must have heard of Khotigao in Konkani. And so we have such people. And from the depths of Sattari, we are going to get. So from the north to the south, again, like folk traditions which are spanning from song to music to dance. Again, from social to spiritual to religious, all these kind of factors which make like folk performance, folk traditions.
That's perfect. Okay, my next guest, I would have introduced him as, the youngest member, but I believe everybody on this panel happens to be young. Carlos, first of all, the world has changed as I, started, now you have a lot of influence in terms of social media and stuff like that. A festival that was organized 20 years back, and, now that the festival is reviving, how do you see your role and, how do you see your approach for this festival?
I think I was 12 years old when I attended the first Goa Heritage Festival, and I was in my early teens for the other festivals organized by the group. And the young artists today, the young people who are, making Goa proud in their respective fields, also attended this festival as young teens. And they say never meet your heroes, when something rests so fondly in your memory. So I think all of us have taken that to heart to ensure that we keep up with the times when it comes to reach, when it comes to visibility. We are very happy and thankful to even Prudent and your team for allowing us to, be there. This is a clear example of that. And instead of reviving just one segment in a festival, it's been so long. There is so much that has happened in fragmented in pockets that it needs to be brought onto one platform. It cannot be done in a day. That's why we've thought of having 15 different segments over the course of 5 days at this festival. We are of course trying to appeal, because heritage, Heta had mentioned heritage people perceive as static objects. I also think, from my experience, heritage is perceived as history. We are a product of our heritage. Where we are going today will define tomorrow's heritage as well. we are making that history ourselves. So it very much includes where we are as a society, as a culture, in a point in time as well. So we've actually tried to think from all age group perspectives to ensure that we are very mindful, we are respectful, and we have an immense representation from the professionals, from the authentic, as well as from the newcomers on the block, to ensure that we engage with this new generation, to ensure that I have a lot of help next year organizing this festival and a lot more to look forward to for the generation as well in Goa.
Okay, we're talking about the generation. I want to ask you is, this generation is more into entertainment, or maybe food and, stuff like that. Now, this is also an integral part of the festival. How do you see this particular aspect in the festival?
Well, in order to stay current, in every single segment, we even have, like I said, the new kids on the block, and for whether it's the food or whether it's the entertainment, this hasn't been different. An example being in the food, we have representation from the Catholic, the Hindu, or the Muslim traditional cooks and traditional food coming in on all days of the festival. Plus, we have, I would call them rising stars. Padaria Prazeres or Avinash Martins or a Pablo, they are making a name for themselves and they are putting Goa on the map as well.
True.
So they are also going to be very much part of this festival. It is their enthusiasm which energizes, even all of us in the organizing committee to keep going. And I think that's where you're going to see the connect with this generation as well for people who are coming to visit the festival.
Okay. Heta, you've written a lot of books, especially on Goa.
Only 11.
No, but still, there are many. I want to ask you is, the literature also happens to be an integral part
Yes,
at
sir.
this particular
Very
festival.
much so, very much.
And if somebody is enthusiastic in being part of this festival, what is there for a book lover or a book reader in this fest?
There are several bookshops, bookstores that are going to be open there. Champaka is coming in, Tara Books is coming in. Bookworm has a huge program with us, including children's workshop that they're going to conduct over there, and also Broadway, who's our biggest book distributor in Goa. They're all going to be part of the festival. Plus there'll be book releases, there'll be talks. In fact, Dr. Lourdes Bravo da Costa Rodriguez, she's going to start the whole inaugural session with a talk on Dr. Francisco Luis Gomez, our hero and academician. So the whole morning of the 15th is going to be dedicated to academics, discussions, book launches, and plenty for book lovers.
Okay, I believe the gentleman in the garden, the statue.
Yes,
Right.
that's
Okay.
him.
See, I know my history. Okay. Pritha, Kunbi again is predominant in our history. आम्ही पळयला फेड जाताना पळयला वेंडल सारख्या मनशान ताका रिवाइव करताना पळयला आता इट इज ऑलमोस्ट एवरीवेअर what is your take on Kunbi and what is the platform that you want to give Kunbi in this particular Goa Heritage Fest?
So as we all know that whenever we talk about a certain place, textile of that place becomes, one of the a very significant factor in identifying a place, especially in India, because you will see that, India is so large and so rich in its textile traditions. So I think that was largely missing in Goa. I mean, identifying a textile. So when Wendell actually came out with the Kunbi sari, he put the word Kunbi on the fashion map, like haute couture actually. So the thing is that what is Kunbi and why he called his sari Kunbi is of course left to his interpretation. But if you know what the Kunbi is, it's the sari that was worn by that one particular community in Goa. The converted Catholic Gaudas, predominantly in South Goa. Now, how the checks, and as you know, they're like largely checks. Heta is wearing one of the most beautiful pieces of the collection. So they're checks. They're in a pink red palette, or they're in a blue purple palette, and they have the signature border. So why and how this community actually got to be, only them got to be wearing it. And then at one point in time, why did it just go out of the market? You know, these are questions that just came about in the last 10, 15 years after Wendell actually brought the word Kunbi out. And now, you know, we're so happy to see that Kunbi has become a part of the wardrobe of any sari lover across the world, you know, a handloom lover. So there have been a few people who are instrumental in bringing this revival. And, you know, through a festival like this, we will be able to bring it out. Bring it out in a sense, you know, it's a textile, it's a sari, and you will see a number of women and men. You can see Carlos here wearing the scarf. So you will see a lot of people wearing them. But again, it's going to be a showcase of this. You know, with pride we will show our textile. But yes, this festival, if you ask me, a festival like this should take us not just to the textile as another piece in our wardrobe, but it should take us closer, and we should be better informed about the textile itself, about the community itself, what it means to the community, how did they wear it, why did they wear it that way,
Correct.
why did they stop wearing it. All these questions have been asked, very often misinterpreted or misinformed. So we need to really clear these things out. And I think in the past, you know, whenever I've had the opportunity, I've also put it down on paper, and it's come out as a couple of articles that very recent time, where most of these misinformations have been cleared out. So thank you for addressing this in this discussion, but then through this, we don't want it just to be a fashion ramp walk. We want the people to know about our community. And very interestingly, this community is coming. We have two performances, two Kunbi performances in our folk segment. One is both happen to be from the community from Kepe, but two different villages of Kepe, Aude and Ambauli. So from Aude, we are going to have a group of women who are going to, you know, show us various dances. And from Ambauli, we are going to have a group of men who are going to show the famous Intrus. Intrus is there, like the Shigmo, better known as Shigmo and the other. So this is what we want people to, you know, see about our textile, know about our textile.
Indeed, a nice approach to get Kunbi back on the red carpet
yes.
and on the ramp rather, with the people who actually flaunt it.
Hopefully we will have them also, but then largely they're going to be urban sari wearers like Heta and myself, who are excited about handloom as a sari. But,
Okay, Carlos, I also want to ask you is there is something with respect to bike rally as well as some vintage, you know, cars that would be displayed. I would want to know about this aspect as well.
Sure. In order to reach a wider audience, and like I said, how we are all a product of our heritage. We've looked even outside the Goa Heritage Action Group at other people doing interesting things, and invited a lot of people to join us in collaborations throughout this festival. We have the Activist Collective who's doing an installation. We have Save Mole, a group of illustrators, amazing illustrators who are also doing an installation. And a very good example of a genuine tie-up with an existing brand that has its own heritage is our collaboration with Royal Enfield. As they will also have their Rider Mania, they reached out to us and wanted to do something on the lines of Goan heritage. And so we are curating a heritage ride that will begin on Saturday morning of the 19th from their Rider Mania venue in Vagator, stopping at various heritage sites with a guide and passing the UNESCO sites in Old Goa and ending at our festival. And we said, in exchange, the least we could do is give you some space to display some vintage vehicles and motorcycles from their collection, so that we have a bit of theirs at our festival, and their participants get to experience a bit of true Goan heritage during their experience at the festival.
And also with respect to performances, is there a lineup of artists that you know, because they are your kind of, you know, crowd pullers or so,
You're
and then
absolutely
you can
right.
always, you know, push the heritage part of it.
Yes.
In terms of artist lineup.
Now, what we've done is to ensure that at the end of the day, after we finish the lectures, the conversations and the ideas, there is also the need to de-stress, decompress, enjoy, get inspired again for the next day. So every evening we start with signature folk performances at 6 o'clock, followed by one key a cultural event every evening. On the first night, we have joint performance, very rare, between Antranoj and Madre Goa, Sonia Sirsat and Carlos Menezes, Orlando Noronha. On the other side, we have Selvin, Omar, Nadia Rebello. You know, they are the stars in their respective fields, but for this festival, they're putting together something together, in fact, which is special, and I'm sure all music lovers of the Fado, of the Mando, will have something to look forward there. On the second day, we've decided to think a little different and not go with the let's have a band every night approach, because there is so much to our heritage. So we are going to be treated to an exclusive screening of Natya Kumpasar by Bardaroy Roy and his entire team.
Nice.
So Wednesday night is movie night at the
fantastic.
Campal Garden. On the third day, we also have dancing to be very much part of our culture. As you said, the younger generation likes to eat, drink and party. So jive is something that has been part of the culture for decades now, I would say. Even when my parents were my age, it was already a thing. So we've got a band playing for us, a nameless band at the moment. We're not going to disclose.
You don't want to spill the beans?
No, we do not want to spill the beans. Playing to an entire crowd where we're inviting dance instructors from around Goa. Bring your students. Everybody watching here, if you like to jive, please make sure you're there on Thursday night at Campal. We will be dancing in the garden and on the streets. So we have a dance night. On the fourth evening, we have a Khel Theatre presented by Mininu the Bandar. He is a stalwart in this craft. It is very much a special thing in our heritage, and we're very, very proud to say that we have a theatre being performed live for us at the festival. And on the last day, we have another son of Goa, a classical musician, Ravi Chari, doing an entire fusion performance for us to cap off the event.
Nice. I don't want to speak on the getting the curtains down on the festival. Let us, work towards, getting it off and, towards the inauguration. One quick the answers now. You have a beautiful logo and it looks psychedelic. That's a clear-cut, conscious decision that you wanted to project, especially reviving this festival after 20 years?
The badge, you mean?
No, the logo. It's psychedelic now.
Yeah. That we owe to Harsh Vardhan Bhatkuli, who designed the first logo for the first festival, and we were sort of very enamored with it, and we wanted it to be, this festival to be a continuity of the past into the future. Just like heritage awareness is a continuity from past to the future. So we used that logo and we gave it a little twist,
Nice.
I think, in terms of color.
It looks impressive.
You could
Thank
look at
you.
it as a trip.
I would like to say anything on that. Madam, I really want and sincerely want to ask you one thing is, can Goa be more than ya maya ya? Because all these people, tourists who come and they, in terms of maybe music, in terms of culture, restricted to a certain, paradox, I would say. That's what we are selling to the tourists. Can we break that jinx someday? And this is one of your attempt towards it.
The Heritage Festival is going to go a long way in doing that. And it will continue doing it. This is not the only edition. It's going to keep happening. And just like all these years, though we are overwhelmed by the people who come for, maybe what we would say the beach tourism or whatever else is happening. But we also, but we can't deny that we've also had people who have come with another vision of Goa because they've known what Goa is. We've had people like that who've visited us. We've had literary festivals happening in Goa, and we've attracted such an amazing crowd there, speakers there. So not that we've had the Festival of Ideas happening, again, the best of speakers from across. So it's just that we have had this, the identity of Goa has been, its strengths through its people, through its traditions, through its academicians. But as you say, we need to bring that out more, and I'm sure the Heritage Festival will go a long way. The kind of people we're expecting, because we're here in the month of November, we're just in the week prior to IFFI, so we have a huge audience that we are looking forward to. And
nice. Carlos, obviously, this is the revival, and Heta ended up, Pritha ended up saying that there's a long way to go. How do you see the future of the festival, and more importantly, how would you pull all the viewers that are watching this particular program to the festival from 15th to 19th?
I think the first thing you can do after watching this show is log on to goaheritagefestival.in, follow us on Instagram. We have every single event. We have 170 participants. It doesn't matter what you like. It's already there at the festival. I invite you to please come, have a look, spend an evening, maybe spend 5. You won't waste your time. You will not regret it. And I'm sure this will lead to more enthusiasm in the organization, enabling a wider range and reach for the future, and a richer festival year 2 onwards.
Okay. I'd just like to end this program. Let me first confess, I didn't know how time flew by. But from 15th to 19th of November, when the festival is on, the Goa Heritage Festival, I hope and I pray that the time gets a little paused for some time so that we can enjoy the moment. And ऑब्वियसली ह्या फेस्टिवलाचे जसे घडटा तसे गजाली आमी तुमच्या मुखार हाडटले आनी परत हातूर फक्त हेच न्ही वॉक्स आसा बाकीचे ट्रेल्स आसा आनी खूब कितें कितें आसा ताजेर आमचो फोकस आसतो बिफोर द फेस्टिवल बट तुमी आवर्जून जशें ह्या पॅनलान सांगलें की तुमी आवर्जून ह्या फेस्टिवलाक भेट दियात आनी मातसो एक्चुली गोंयकारपण कितें हें खरें एक्सपिरियन्स करा आमी तुमच्या मुखार हे फेस्टिवल आमच्या माध्यमांतल्यान घेवन येतलेच तोपर्यंत पळयत रावात प्रुडंट.